How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to my FIFA 17 Fulham career mode. This is episode 44, and in the previous episode we of course won the Premier League on the final day of the season. In what was an intense end to the season, Manchester United had to drop points to Crystal Palace, and we had to pick up all three against West Ham. United went on to lose 1-0 to Crystal Palace, and we beat West Ham by the same scoreline. Therefore we won the Premier League title by 1 point on the opening day. But moving forward in today's episode, that's right, I am wearing a suit because it is the FA Cup final. We will be back at Wembley as we take on West Ham again, our final day of the Premier League opposition again in the FA Cup final, hoping to do a League and Cup double this season. As we advance forward, we received, well, we got £125 million, £606,642 as well, for winning the Premier League title. Now, of course, that doesn't go into the wage budget per se. It's just a basis for what your wage budget will be. So, hopefully, based on that. Now, I haven't actually ever really advanced into a next season after winning the Premier League, so I don't know what sort of funds we'll be expecting. But hopefully, a large chunk of that money will allow us to bring in some big names. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. Bunnywell wants to say thanks for his game time, because today's episode, as I've mentioned in a previous videos before, is just going to be purely just going to be the FA Cup final, and I'm going to show you the full game. So not just highlights, not just extended highlights, but it's just going to be the full game. There might be, if one of the teams, maybe we or West Ham, of course, maybe if they start passing it around a little bit and I don't really have a lot to say, then perhaps we'll just skip that bit out. But mainly, I'm hopefully going to be commentating for the whole 90 minutes, and we'll be bringing you the game live. So I'm going to advance forward into the game against West Ham. I'm going to sort out the team lineups as well, and I'll see you at the start of the game. So then, on this fantastic, sunny Saturday afternoon, we are live from Wembley Stadium. It is time for the FA Cup final of 2018. It's West Ham United versus Fulham in the Emirates FA Cup. There is how we were able to get through. We, of course, beat Aston Villa in the semi-final, and West Ham United beat Manchester United in the other semi-finals, which means we get to face West Ham. Last time out, just a couple of days ago, to win the Premier League title, we didn't play the best, but we somehow scraped through a 1-0 victory. Today's going to be a very, very different occasion. Dimitri Payet starts for West Ham, as we saw, and he is their player to watch. We'll run through the team lineups momentarily. Our team isn't fully recovered from the game against West Ham on Sunday of last week. However, we've ran with pretty much the same time. For West Ham, it's Adrian in net, Hector Bellerin, Nordva, Ogbonna, Masuaku, Obiang, Kouyaté, Antonio. Lanzini, Payet and Marcus Rashford starts up front. And I've just realised, unfortunately, Donnarumma will be starting in goal for this match, but hey-oh, it doesn't really matter. Of course, Bettinelli has yet to concede a goal in the FA Cup, but I've given Donnarumma the nod for this final. Here's our lineup then: Donnarumma, Bunnywell, Holding, Sigurdsson, Odoi, Lansbury, Cabano, Kearney, Sobey, Jozabed and DeLuco. Pretty much the same starting 11 that has been throughout the back end of this season, with Holding coming in on loan in January. I did a little bit of research, and it's only ever been 12 men who have scored in every round of the FA Cup that they've been involved in. Of course, Jozabed is looking to make history and become the 13th man should he score in the final today. Neil Swarbrick is the referee for this fantastic occasion. Jozabed scored in the third round against Cardiff, I think it was. He scored in the fourth round against Arsenal. He scored in the fifth round, albeit the fifth round replay, against Hull City. He scored in the quarterfinals against QPR, and he scored that one goal to get us to the finals against Aston Villa in the semis. Will he be able to make history and be the 13th man to score in every round of the competition? He'll be looking for a goal today, but of course West Ham will not be backing down. They have the first attack, which sort of petered out, and we've been able to counter this one early on here, but the West Ham defender is able to get it away. Payet will, well, I say bring it forward, but he's ended up knocking it back to Ogbonna. It's now up to Masuaku. It's been a bright opening first 10 minutes by both sides. Both teams having the opportunity to score, but neither side's able to break the deadlock inside 10 minutes. There's still a chance here for West Ham to do that, though. And it's going to be Antonio with the first real shot of the game, and it's just wide of the market as the 10-minute mark passes. Of course, I won't be too upset if we don't win here today. Of course, I'll be ecstatic if we do win, and our first season in the Premier League we're able to do a League and FA Cup double. However, we've already won the Premier League, of course, which means we have secured a Champions League place as well for next season. So we're not relying on winning the FA Cup to get ourselves into Europe. That will already be confirmed next season, but we would like to certainly add the silverware to the trophy. I don't believe we won any cups last season, other than the Championship, of course, we did win. So we're yet to pick up a domestic cup victory in this save, and I believe we actually had quite a poor run in the cup last season. We had another poor run again this season in the League Cup. I think we got knocked out quite early on in that one. But fortunately this year we have been able to get ourselves a good FA Cup run going, and hopefully this will, whether we lose here or win today, this will also bolster the transfer budget for next season. Now then, I'm just going to calm things down a little bit. West Ham have certainly been of the attacking side, but Jozabed looks to play that ball forward, and he's intercepted, and Obiang will come away with it. Foul there by Cabano. Referee is going to award West Ham United a free kick here. As you can see, Antonio with only really the only really shot on in the game so far, and he blasted it over just about 9 or 10 minutes in. Not a lot happening in the following 10 minutes to that, but still a long way to go here. I think I mentioned it, the team isn't fully recovered, so we're looking for potentially some substitutions coming up in the second half. Jozabed was probably one of the most tired players, but I'd definitely like to give him as long as possible out there, unless I really need to take him off, because obviously we'd like him to score in the final as well to make history. Now then, Nordvik. They do, of course, have some very strong players, West Ham. They've signed Marcus Rashford and Bellerin, most noticeably, from Arsenal and Manchester United, respectively. They've got Payet as well, who's obviously come back into the team following his spell away from the club. And Masuaku's been a lot of trouble for us in this first half, as has Antonio. And Obiang, sorry, has been very successful. Here's Lanzini, who hasn't really been that alive in the first half now, but certainly so far you could say the better opportunities have fallen to West Ham, and we've just got to get ourselves a bit of a foothold in this match. Now Sobi can do that by sprinting down the field. He's never going to outrace Bellerin. That's going to cause a lot of issues over on this left-hand side of our attack, and the right-hand side of defence is very strong by West Ham, but we'll be looking to break that down a little bit more. And Aluka can turn away from his man here, and Aluka can get our first shot away, and this one a little bit more better than the West Ham shot earlier on, as we win ourselves a corner kick here. I think it was probably on target as well, so good block by the West Ham defender. Sobi will whip the ball in. And it's actually come a little bit short, but nobody's going to get there. Jozabed will get there, and he'll play it back out to Sobi, and Sobi can just try and stick another ball into the box, but too close to Adrian in the end, and a comfortable save for the keeper. And he distributes to Bellerin. Knocks it forward to Koyate. Here's Obiang. Now forward to Lanzini. He's going to make a good run as he passes it off to Antonio. Antonio back to Obiang, but intercepted by Cabano, as he's done so very often throughout this season. Jozabed will knock it forward to Aluko. And Aluko's going to knock that back to Jozabed, and Kenny was making a run, but the ball cut out by Obiang, I believe it was. Sigurdsson wins the header though. Lansbury plays it to Cabano. And Cabano's just going to hold off his man and find Jozabed in support. He hasn't really got forward yet, Jozabed, so he definitely needs to be working on that. He has made a run, but West Ham are so tight here in the midfield. I just can't find those forward passes into the final third. They've left a little bit of space for Kearney here, though. And what can Kearney do with this? Masuaku is there. And he brings the ball away, but Payet loses it to Bunawell, who's been absolutely fantastic for us, one of our standout players this season, although you could pinpoint most of the starting 11 throughout the season, and a couple of the reserves have been very good for us. And Aluko, there was a run being made by Sobi. He just sort of bent his run a little bit, and drifted out wide as I played the ball through, and in the end it was easy for West Ham. So we have approached half-time, and unfortunately there's been no real opportunities here. 2 minutes to be added on, but those 2 minutes will come and go just like that. It's going to be half-time in the FA Cup, though. It's West Ham who probably started off the better teams. They had a couple of opportunities, most notably Antonio with inside 10 minutes, but we ended up fighting back towards the end of the second half, and we had our one real opportunity, but the shot was blocked from Aluko, went out for a corner kick. So nothing really else to shout about at half-time then in this FA Cup final. It's West Ham United 0, Fulham 0. So of course, as you can see by the match stats, just one shot from both sides, neither of those on target. So the Aluko shot they're claiming wasn't on target, although I think it may well have been. Possession is a little bit more even. If you recall, in the last game against West Ham in the Premier League, we got absolutely dominated possession-wise. I think we finished that game with about 38 to 40%. This time, it's a lot more even, just swinging in West Ham's favour. Tackles fairly even, just the one foul by myself and the one corner. So 0% for shot accuracy, pass accuracy about 89 and 81 for each side. As you can see there, Jozabed looking a little bit tired, but we'll hold off on making the substitution. I'm probably not going to take him off, to be honest, just because of what is on the line here, unless he gets injured from lack of fitness. But at the end of the day, it's the last game of the season, so it doesn't really matter too much if he picks up an injury or not. We'll be able to deal with it as we go through the summer. So how can we start the second half then? You could say West Ham started the first half better than us, but we'll look to recreate that. Jozabed was in there, but just couldn't quite get the ball out of his feet, and Bellerin is the one who gets it away. It was only as far as Kearney, and Bunuel has received the ball, and he lays it up to Odor, who's come a little bit central. There's Jozabed just dropping deep again, which is interestingly enough. He's made another run, but again, just can't break down West Ham, and they've been very solid defensively in both games that we've played in the past couple of days or so. And the only reason we were able to defeat them in the previous episode was because of a penalty kick that they received. Oh, that they gave away, sorry. And we'd really like for them to give us another one here today. But so far, they don't look like doing that because, mainly, we haven't been able to get into the box. And if you can't get into the box, you're not going to be able to win a penalty. So, Aluko dropping very deep. I think he's probably going to be the first man to make way here for Iheanacho. He's just not looked as lively, and I just can't. The way West Ham are set up, I can't play those lovely through balls over the top of the defence to allow Aluko to run into the space. So we might have to look at a different tactic here as the second half runs on. We are into half an hour, so I'm starting to contemplate my first couple of substitutions, as I'm sure West Ham probably are as well. Now then, Aluko's got support here, but again, Kenny just can't get it out the feet, and Jozabed is able to keep the possession and the attack alive here. Kenny, who has stayed central, but look at how many men they just get behind the ball so quickly, West Ham. They haven't looked as threatening into the second half. Looks like they've maybe set up a little bit more defensively here, but we just need to try and get ourselves some space in this match, and we can't seem to do that. That's a tackle by, I think it was Obiang in the end, and Norvite will pass it back to Adrian, who I think that's probably his first touch of the ball, to be honest. As same reason for Donnarumma, I don't think he's had to touch the ball either, but Sobi's won that, and the ball is not great, but it falls to Cabano. Oh, and Cabano's hit the post, and that could have been the winner right there, but very unfortunate. He's scored some good goals for us this season, has Cabano. He's been very good at, when we've moved him onto the penalties, he's been good at scoring headers as well, and we know he's got a nice shot from outside the box, but very unfortunate on that occasion. Now then, here's Jozabed. There's no support in the box at all, and Norvite will take that one out for the corner, which was probably the best option for us in the end because there was nobody in the box. We've levelled out the possession, but it's not about possession at the end of it, as the corner comes in and is cleared away, and we'll let Kouyaté just head that one clear. So a substitution for West Ham. Dimitri Payet has come out for Andre Ayew. To be honest, he hasn't been that impressive. You can see the fitness of Jozabed is very low here. We'll make a double change then, and we're going to bring Iheanacho on, and I'm also going to bring Aite on to try and boost some pace. We're going to leave Jozabed out there, but to try and nick us a goal. But realistically, with the pace that he's got, the stamina that he's got left, I'm not sure it's going to be quite that easy for him. Well, maybe he could win a header from a corner. Kenny is who takes it. It's Sigurdsson who's there. Jozabed is loitering. He now does have the ball, Jozabed, but as it was played back to Kearney, He was called for offside there, as you can see. So we've made our substitution. West Ham, of course, made that change as Ayew came on. They've also took Antonio off, and Feghouli has now entered the field of play. So 2 substitutions made by West Ham, 2 substitutions made by ourselves as well. And here's Ayite, who is one of those. And his first touch on the ball is very poor, and the other substitute of Feghouli has won it well, but Rashford loses it to Cabano. Just can't poke that one forward. Now, a fresh Feghouli could be troublesome, but Cabano is all over that one, and he's just going to poke the ball forward. Ayite's going to play that one through to Iheanacho, our other substitute. Now then, there's just no runs being made. We're going to have to start going a little bit more attacking here. We could potentially leave ourselves open at the back, but in the end it will certainly all be worth it, because we just haven't quite been able to get a hold in this. So, final substitution made by West Ham. It's Lanzini who makes way. Again, he's had a very quiet game. And ex-Liverpool man Danny Ings, of course, a former claret and blue player, but of Burnley, now features in the claret and blue of West Ham United. And will he be the difference maker there? It's 10 minutes to go until the full-time whistle. Extra time is, of course, looming, and I'm not sure how much longer Jozabed can last, but we're going to have to deal with it so far. And Lansbury's going to whip a ball in. Jozabed was there, but so was Bellerin, who's been very good for West Ham so far. And the ball has found its way through to Odoi, and Odoi can try and stick across it. I'm pretty sure that was a handball, but referee didn't see it that way. And Danny Ings, who's dropped very deep, has picked up the loose ball, and it's knocked forward now. But Sigurdsson is going to win that race. I thought that was a little bit of a foul there, not going to lie, but referee didn't seem to see that one. He's been very lenient, this referee, in today's fixture. As that ball is poked through to Lansbury. Now then, is there a run of Iheanacho being made? There isn't really, but he's dropped off and he's found the space, and Iheanacho hit it first time because of the oncoming defenders and just didn't really get a hold of that as I'd liked. It was easy in the end for Adrian in the West Ham net, and that's a beautiful distribution up to Rashford. It's eventually dropped for Feghouli. 3 minutes to go until extra time. Of course, we had to go to extra time against Aston Villa to make it to the semi-finals. We struggled to break down West Ham in the previous fixture of the Premier League, and it's the same situation here today. It has finished 0-0 at 90 minutes, so we will advance into extra time. The second half didn't really light up, to be quite honest. It's not been the most entertaining of FA Cup finals, it has to be said. And as you can see, we'll go into full time then. West Ham United 0, Fulham 0. So West Ham didn't have a shot in that second half at all. We were able to add 3 more shots to our account, and at least 2 of those were able to go on target. We swung the possession back into our favour, but still no action really for West Ham. We've had 1 offside and 3 corners now, but we're up to that 50% shot accuracy compared to West Ham 0, but the pass accuracy still in West Ham's favour. We do, of course, have 1 more substitution in our arsenal, and I think I'm going to allow Scott Parker to enter the field of play. This could be his last season at Fulham, and indeed his last season as a professional footballer. And what a better way to round that off than an FA Cup final. Unfortunately, I can't make him captain now that I've brought him on, because it would have been nice for him to lift the trophy should we have been able to win it, but it will be Sigurdsson who will hopefully be lifting the old trophy at the end of, if not 120 minutes, then a penalty shootout. But West Ham have made all 3 substitutions. Of course, they made that in the 80th minute. They made their final substitution, so we do in theory have the better pace on the players, but Scott Parker will get involved straight away as he commits a foul. Here is Ayew, who came on for Poyet and haven't really seen him since, but he's lost possession there now. Then Jozabed has got the ball, but as you can see, absolutely no pace left in him. Iheanacho's there, and the space here for Ayite, and Ayite is going to get a shot away, and in the end it was a really good effort on target. It was a very awkward shot to get away and a very awkward angle to get away, as I think Parker's going to pick up a yellow card. Here he is. He's only been on the pitch 6.5 minutes, and he's already found himself in the referee's notebook with that foul on Obiang a moment ago, as Ayite is able to get the first shot away. We've forced ourselves into a corner kick then, and Kenny is to take it. We'll look for the head of Jozabed. I can see him there just loitering. It hasn't fallen to him. In the end, it's fallen to Sigurdsson, and it's just going to go wide of the goalpost. So the game's starting to liven up a little bit. In fact, it was very wide of the goal. Not just a little bit wide. From this angle, it looked like it just skimmed past, but from the behind the goal angle, it was, of course, not very wide at all. Now, Jozabed's done very well to win that. And I think, oh, he can't quite flick a ball through. And Kearney can't quite keep hold of the interception. Nordvac has it. Here's Masuaku. Forward to Rashford. And here's Koyate. Great header away by Sigurdsson. And Jozabed just again can't poke the ball forward. Faguli is there. It's a very, very tense match so far. No real team threatening. But that's fantastic by Masuaku. He's played it through to the West Ham attacker, who decided he thought it would be best to head it from that position, and he got nothing on it. And in the end, West Ham can only settle for a throw-in, which is taken to Rashford. And I think it was Rashford, or it may have been Koyate in the midfield. Or in fact, it could have been I really do not know who it was. And Ite just pokes that ball to Odoi to make a run, and referee says that is going to be half-time. So again, still deadlock here as we approach half-time and extra time. We go in at West Ham 0, Fulham 0. So still no shots apparently by West Ham, although they did actually have that header, which we can class as a second shot for them. We've added a couple more shots to us. They both unfortunately were off target. And possession swings back into West Ham's favour. We have, of course, now picked up a yellow card. And we've also had 4 corners. But neither of those are helping us win this FA Cup tie as we approach into the final 15 minutes here at Wembley, and it looks like this tie could be decided on a penalty shootout. It certainly hasn't been the most entertaining FA Cup final, which I can only apologise for, but if the players aren't going to create the chances, they aren't going to create the chances. West Ham really haven't looked like doing anything since the opening 10 minutes, to be quite honest, and we just haven't been able to break that down. And as you can see there, if that ball could have found its way through to Jozabed, we could have had a chance. But again, West Ham have remained solid, and we are just struggling to break them down to have clear-cut opportunities here. There could be one on here, though. If Kenny keeps his run going, he does. Kenny's going to have to take this shot on. He plays it across goal. Good save by Adrian. Bellerin, I think, in the end wins the header in front of Parker. You can see our 7-1 shots there, so +6 in our favour. Parker, who takes the corner throw-in. Oite actually does end up getting a cross away, and it's going to fall to Jozabed. Well, if the cross fell to Iheanacho, which just sort of bounced up nicely for Jozabed, but just couldn't quite get his head underneath that, and unfortunately West Ham are coming away with it again here. And there's Rashford, and there's Danny Ings now forward to Ayew. Ayew should probably be able to get a cross in here. He hasn't really been able to, but Ings will get the cross in, and in the end Donnarumma's going to be able to catch that one. So West Ham threat over again now, and here's Jozabed, and this time he can poke through Iheanacho, and Iheanacho can wait for him. And there's a couple of runs being made, one of those being Aite, and Aite with the finesse. Good save by Adrian again. We've certainly come alive now, but I think it's a little bit too late with Adrian making the saves. Just starting to create the space in the pitch, but only 2 minutes to go here of the game before penalties, and we've got ourselves another corner kick here. This is our 5th corner of the match. Kenny will, of course, take it, and it does actually find Jozabed. And we've got ourselves a penalty kick here in the 119th minute of the FA Cup final. Bonner it is, who's been penalised for handball. Now I have to let Jozabed take this. Please don't get upset. Of course, everyone was shouting for Cabano to step up and take this because he has just been tucking them away left and right towards the back end of the season. But to make history in the FA Cup, and who fully deserves it more than Jozabed to be our winner? He scored in every round of the FA Cup final so far. His goal against Aston Villa sent us into the final. He has a penalty kick to win it. He steps up against Adrian, and Jozabed tucks it away. And he has scored in every round of the FA Cup to be the 13th man in history to ever do so. And he has put Fulham within reach of the FA Cup. He has been an outstanding asset to us all season long, starting even from the Championship last season. He's been poking up since the formation change as well, particularly into a 4-4-1-1 with him playing as a centre attacking midfielder as opposed to a central midfielder. He has been absolutely on fire for us so far. He has driven us to this FA Cup final, and what a better way to celebrate than to mark the final with a 120th minute penalty. His 6th goal of the competition. He'll be picking up the golden boot for the competition. I think he might be picking it up for the Premier League as well. Of course, there isn't actually a golden boot for the FA Cup, I don't think. We'll pretend and we'll give him one because he has fully deserved it. And it was a little bit of a cheese penalty, but that is the final whistle, and Fulham's victory continues. Not only have they won the Premier League this season, but we have managed to go on and do the League and Cup double. A 120th minute penalty from Jozabed means that he's the 13th man in history to score in every round of the FA Cup, and it means that Fulham are the 2018 FA Cup champions. Again, guys, I am going to disappear and let you enjoy the celebrations. I shall see you in a moment.
Well, it is the most famous domestic club competition in the world, the oldest, still widely celebrated. And to go up to collect the FA Cup, Alan, you've done it.
Yeah, it's a magnificent feeling, and these players, I think defensively they owe those defenders a big pat on the back because their success has been based on that.
The FA Cup winners.
And so then, guys, there you have it. That's going to be the end of the season. Now, in the next episode, we shall do a season roundup. We shall be taking a look at all the major leagues across Europe and across England. We'll be taking a look at all the different trophies to see who won what, and of course we'll be taking a look at the top goal scorers as well. We'll also do a run through the squad report to see who's grown, who's declined, and then we shall advance forward into our Champions League season. We'll be looking at making a few transfers next episode as well. I don't think we might not head into the opening of the transfer window, but what we will do is we'll maybe look at listing a couple of players that we want to move on from the club, and we'll start to send some scouts out for a few players who will be interested, well, for a few positions that would be needing to strengthen this squad up. Of course, Champions League next season is going to be super difficult. We're going to need to bolster the squad as well, especially if we want to come back and try to defend our FA Cup, and we'd also like to get some sort of run going in the League Cup next season, and of course, we'd like to have another strong Premier League season. So it didn't start off too great, the Premier League season. We were fighting for mid-table, and at one point I think, you know, we were slipping down, and then we somehow ended up in Europe, and then that looked like it would be under threat, and somehow we secured Europe and we won the Premier League. We have also gone on to win the FA Cup in dramatic fashion, as you can see it right there, and Jozabed scores in every round of the competition. A fantastic way to end off the episode. Well, that is going to be the end of today's episode, and in fact I shall leave it with the FA Cup table on once it decides to load. There we go. So we'll go to tables. You can see there the FA Cup table. The Premier League table. We'll of course run through all of these cups throughout next episode. We'll advance further a little bit just to make sure that the Champions League final has been played, and also the playoffs, and we can see who will be joining us. But there you go, guys. We have won the FA Cup to round off this series in style. Thank you guys again, and I'll say this at the end of the episode, the end of previous episode, but thank you for the continued support on the Fulham career mode this year. Ever since day one, there's been a lot of loyal fans here as well, and I hope you'll continue that journey with me next time out as we head to the Champions League season. And of course, as also we head towards FIFA 18 as well, I will be back for more career mode. But this series isn't over by far. I think, as I've mentioned it probably a couple of times, maybe in the previous episode or the episodes before, I'm not sure what the timing schedule is like for me now personally, as we head towards the summer. But so daily videos will start to fade away, unfortunately, over the next few weeks, but I'll do my best to record as many episodes as possible. I can't guarantee that I'll get the next season finished, but I will try my hardest before FIFA 18. But hey, what can you say? If we don't, at least we've had a successful season here in the Premier League and in the FA Cup. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you did enjoy. Why don't subscribe as well if you're new around here, and until next time, goodbye.